Hello, welcome back to Moneytudes series from the desk of Inspiration Age Ministries. My name is Wisdom Elder, and I'm glad to be here to also be the one that is presenting to you this day on Inspiration Age Ministries platform. All right, so I want to first of all celebrate all my distinguished viewers out there, everyone who has been following us, been subscribing to our channels, also liking and then dropping your comments both on YouTube, Facebook, social media handles, and various channels. Whether you're watching this on the go, I want to celebrate, appreciate you. Don't forget that a lot of people will also want to hear these messages so that they can also be well guided. All right, okay, we started this by delving into the challenge of the father of the prodigal son. Remember that we've been dwelling on the errors of the prodigal son. Moneytude has to do with the various attitudes that can be associated with money. So the errors of the prodigal son, but today we started by dwelling on the challenge of the father of the prodigal son, and we said the title has been over leadership and over management. Over leadership and over management. Most of the time you see parents trying to over pamper kids, and most of the times you see parents trying to over restrict children. What are the challenges? What does it imply? What does it make of the children at the end of the day? How do you balance the two so that the more you also manage, the more you lead and then inspire? As you lead and inspire, you also have a routine to make the child fall back to you for further guidance, instruction, and then direction. All right, so that he can also thrive. And then we took it a step further by making us to understand that this is not just about a child and a family or a father, but a CEO and an organization, a pastor and the ministry, an organization, a president and his organization, a governor and his state, a president and his nation or his country. It has everything to do with leadership at every given position or level you find yourself. All right. So we said we'll be delving into another character or quality, which I'm going to be giving us right now. All right. In the book of Genesis, chapter 13. All right. Genesis chapter 13. I will read from verse 5. The Bible says, "But Lot, who went with Abraham, also had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to nourish and support them, so they could dwell together, for their possessions were too great for them to live together." That means they have started expanding. All right. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling there in the land, making further more difficult to obtain. So Abraham said to Lot, "Let there be no strife, I beg of you, between you and me, or between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are relatives. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I beg of you, from me. If you take the left hand, then I'll go to the right. So, or if you choose the right hand, I will go to the left." Now, we know the story that continued. Lot chose the side that was very, good, juicy, and then he went towards Sodom, and then Abraham chose the other side and went up to develop his area. Now, that is not where we are going. Where we are going is the fact that there was a time that Lot and Abraham were flowing very, very cordially together. but their herdsmen, their cattle, their resources started increasing. Now, we said over leadership does not actually have anybody that is placed in position to run the affairs, that people learn on the go. As you grow, as you go, you keep learning. Passions are high. That's what we said. So, if you look very well, you realize that there was no laid down management structure. There was no management system that was in place. So as they increased, there was conflict. I've made us to understand that over leadership will always lead to conflict, because you are going to have a lot of responsibilities and activities. And if you base your organization only on leadership alone, you are going to actually have conflict. The same way, if you base your organization on management alone, you are also going to have crisis. So we started by saying that they both must blend, they both must merge, they must come together. So had the case of Abraham maybe appointed certain headsmen to become in charge of certain things, as far as the both herdsmen are concerned, as they were growing, there would not have been conflict. Have they understood who is the CEO and who is the group managing director, and what responsibilities could be assigned to both the group managing director and then the CEO, and then the other people also having their duties and responsibilities, the growth process would have been well managed. So that is where I'm also drawing it from, so that you can see a case of another over leadership. All right, so we stopped at bringing both of them together, having the dual system in view. All right, so we said organizations need both disruption and stability to thrive. Remember, leaders are disruptors. Most organizations don't like disruptors. So why we are teaching this is for you to understand the importance of disruptors in your organization. Because if you don't like disruptors, these are the people that will bring strange strategies to take over the market. So if you are so comfortable with those who manage the system, manage the files, manage your pattern, your everything, your pattern definitely one day will be understood by your competitor, and they will have an extra edge above your pattern that will sweep your customers. Nokia was doing well. Nokia was doing well until iOS came, Android came, and then they couldn't switch. They maintained and they were doing they were doing Windows. Android came and they could not switch, and then they were left out. Apple was not where they are today. BlackBerry was doing well, but another company saw what they had, and they came and they gave everybody a flat phone that could replicate everything that BlackBerry, even the internal chatting that could replicate everything that BlackBerry had. So if you are left with a particular pattern, understand that your stay at the top will not actually is not a demonic thing. It's not a bewitchment thing. This is just a matter of reality. Because many of the stories Jesus gave, he was not giving them as a result of spiritual conjecture. Understand, the story of the prodigal son was not as a result of spiritual conjecture. It was giving a clear case of management and a clear case of somebody who mismanaged everything that he had. And he went out and then came back to his senses and returned back to the Father. And using that to also direct that God is even happy if we go out and then go astray and finally come back. So he is not telling you that the prodigal son was suffering from generational curse. No, Jesus did not say that. So some of the things you think there are forces that are battling with you are as a result of what you did not know. It's not Jesus that told you. It's not him that told you. He gave so many stories and illustrations from the economy, few from spiritual angle, more from the economy, more from buying and selling, trading, more all about money factors and life generally. So he was a practical, lively person, somebody who got involved with life activities. He knew more about business. All right? So you have to understand that being spiritual does not mean you should not have business sense, understanding topical issues about management. Right where we are talking, most people can be so spiritual that they might feel, the Bible says train up a child the way he should grow, and when he should not depart from it. So I'm training up my child the way he should grow. If you don't do this, don't do that, and you put don't and don't and dots, you are over managing. When you have so much restrictions, you are over managing. All right. Now, the life of a child does not end with don'ts. They are also the do's. Even when God said don't, man went ahead and did. So they are also his passion. There are also some discoveries. Where does he channel them to? Martin Luther said, religion that cannot take care of the need of the people who are following him, worshiping under that religion, is a dry and wasted religion. So what about his need? At a time, Jesus had to feed the multitude. He saw that they had need. He's not only speaking the word to them. What about the need? What about what is driving the child crazy? What about the things that the child likes seeing himself around? How do you now discover the right pattern to handle such development or such change? I said it that what you are changing into should not scare a leader. The fact that you have smart people in your team should never scare you. Once you are threatened by people's capacity around you, please know that you are going down. You just need to work on yourself. Don't be threatened. Don't push them. All right? So just like what we saw in the case of Abraham and Lot, it was a management issue that was required, not leadership. They needed strategy on how to drive the system. All right? Organizations need both disruptors and stability to thrive. The problem is we don't have good examples where managers and leaders function well together. Therefore, we've adopted ways to work together without killing each other. So I'll be telling you ways to work together without killing each other. Understand this. Managers and leaders need to understand and appreciate that they come at the world from conflicting perspectives. First, managers and leaders need to understand that they come at the world from conflicting perspectives. All right? Managers and leaders need to understand and appreciate what they achieve. Don't see it as competing with each other, but appreciate what you achieve. You both come from conflicting perspective, then you must need to learn to appreciate what you achieve. Managers make complex things work. Leaders create new things. Understand this. Managers might not make new things, but they make things that are complex to do what? To work. Once you are running a new site, a new project, once you take your managers there, they make sure they manage all the activities of everybody there. But they can never initiate the move for a new site or a new project. They might not have that stomach. But set up the new site, push them there, they are there to manage it. All right? Leaders create new things. Even in the new site, there are certain aspects of creativity that will come up. A good organization that is ready to thrive in this contemporary dispensation must be able to accommodate those who have that capacity to create things that will help the system to work faster, better, and efficiently. And one of the ways to actually spot such persons is to have a perfect feedback mechanism in the company. A feedback mechanism is that channel that gives the people the ability, both the people working and then the clients working, the clients that are patronizing the company. It gives them the ability to send messages back based on their observation or how they were treated. You do this by sending different flyers. You do this by giving them channels. If we treated you well, please, we need you to even send us your comments. Bill Gates said the worst customer is the customer that never complains. If I was treated badly at so and so shop, Nigerian Limited, or wherever country you are watching me from, if I was treated badly, I will not complain. Rather, I will leave. And then tomorrow, if my friend says, let's go to that shop, I'll tell my friend, no, I'm not going there. This is what happened to me last time I went there. And my friend already knows what happened, and my friend will also want to avoid going to that place. And tomorrow, my friend's friend asks him, let's go to that shop. My friend's friend will tell him, no, we are not going there. And I'll tell another of my friend, no, we are not going there. We are already four. Now, direct sales that makes client base to increase will now begin to work against the company who never gave the customers the opportunity to complain. You know, in a third world environment, most of our leaders don't like people complaining. Most of our leaders, pastors, parishioners, CEOs don't like people complaining. That is why we don't have complainant departments in the name of faith. One time Jesus asked a question. He said, who do men say I am? I want to hear. What is the feedback? And at the time, he now asked them, okay, you, who do you say that I, the Son of Man, is? He wanted feedback. He wanted to hear them also give comments and recommendation about himself. Let him understand if these people what they actually see me as. Are they see me as one Superman or superpower or whatever, or one alien? So he wanted feedback. Most of our churches don't like feedback. Most of families, fathers don't like feedback at all. Now I'm saying that you can have a meeting with your children and then let it be a board. have them also suggest how you can run things in the house and sometimes delegate activities to them. You are looking at it like it's strange. Because we don't want complaint. Will you shut up, my friend? I'm talking, you are talking. We don't want it. We don't want people to complain. We don't want people to give feedback. And Bill Gates said the worst customer is the one that never complains. Because if you had complained to the organization would have taken note of your complaint and appreciated you and look for how to really settle with you, so that complaint will not exist any longer from after you, but they will now do something about it. Feedback helped a lot of companies to go out of recession. Lack of feedback made a lot of companies to go into extinction. Actually, people told Nokia that it is necessary for them to switch. They were not listening to feedback. Before now, Nokia was the richest telecom company in the world. The same thing with BlackBerry. So most of the companies that have gone into extinction was because they never had proper feedback channels. Some have it. Most companies in Nigeria have it. But do they use it? That's the challenge. They don't. And then when politicians get into power, they hate anything that has to do with complaint. They see opposition as threats. The Machiavellian principle starts working in their head. And then the 48 laws of power becomes their guide. Anyone that wants to talk something against them, they look for how to silence the person overnight. And you feel like the more you silence the people, other people will not rise up. It is easier to embrace feedback and attend to the pressing need and gain popularity thereafter than to kick against feedback and be struggling to maintain the system or the structure. You will spend more. Whether you like it or not, silencing people might work for you for one, but like Bob Marley said, you can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Silencing people might favor you once, but there is still time. The future is still there. It will not last, because a lot of people will come up that will also have the same complaint. Is like that. Is like that. Is contagious. One person is complaining about the way you treated him, and then another person might not be there, but the moment that person enters and they treat the person that same way, the person is complaining. Because you have not treated it and you want to silence it, you'll be spending more money silencing it instead of spending more to fix the complaint. But I believe that as we watch this, we'll understand that feedback is very important. It helps you to run the structure. There are strategies of feedback. That's not the context of this meeting. There are strategies of feedback. There are ways to receive feedback. There are ways to give feedback. There are so many multi-dimensional activities that surrounds feedback. You understand? There are technological methods of feedback. There are IT methods for those who are tech savvy, computer savvy with their phones. Yes, there are ways of generating feedback. Even your church on Sunday, if you don't want to go the tech way, you can go the normal manual way and get feedback. Just do a kind of feedback form. Name, phone number, address, and ask one or two questions. How did you see the service on Sunday? What area do you think we should improve upon in our services? Just drop it in the comments. If you want, you might not even write name. Just say we are doing it anonymously so that you can be free to express yourself. So no need to put name. Just put, if you want to put phone number, fine. But just drop the forms and circulate the forms around. And probably when people are entering the church, they can have it. So when they are going out, they can drop it. So you can get information on areas you need to work on, areas you need to improve upon. You can see the majority at the end of getting feedbacks. If there was no need for feedback, Jesus won't be asking them, who do men say I am? And who do you say I am? Sometimes feedback helps you to balance perspectives. It helps you to keep thriving at what you are doing, especially when it is gaining the commendation of people. Or you drop if it is not gaining the commendation of people. Alright, so everything that has to do with these are some substances that most of us miss in terms of organization. Even in families, most of us don't like children that complain. You silence them from talking. You make them not to, friend, shut up, and so on. And they keep keeping everything to themselves until the day they will summon courage, come before you and say, this is my stand, I'm not going back. But we have the grace to learn so that we can begin to draw them. I believe that the home should be the place we give the best. Your best of humility, your best of decency, your best of cool-headedness. Sometimes if it means going down, sacrificing, dying to self in order to restore your home, please go ahead and do it. Your home should get the best of you. I don't actually know how most people handle it, that you can be so happy outside and when you get home you'll be so sad. Your home should have the best. Your children should get your best. All right? The relationship with your children should be much more cordial than the relationship outside. All right? It should be so strong that when your children are around you, in fact, they see you as their pillar. Whenever they make mistakes outside, they want to get home and have time and discuss with you so that you can hear them out and then you can also talk. I believe that the home should always have that setting whereby maybe 2 or 3 times in a week they meet to access the improvements, the journey so far, the development, especially when children are getting mature. Sometimes you talk about some opportunities that are going on in the world and know what they think about it. When you come to your children should not be when they are doing homework or when they are filling jam form. In Nigeria, jam form is the joint admission and matriculation board form for entering universities. That should not be. Or when they are filling their when they are going to register for their final exam, that's when you need to be around there, or when they are graduating or matriculating. No, no. Even though you don't even appear in matriculation or whatever, children who are close to you, they know that if you can appear matriculation and graduation, they know you are not always close to them. This one daddy came. Thank God. Daddy, let's snap picture and all the rest of them. But all through the ceremony, they are not taking their daddy around. They are not introducing their daddy here and there. They are not making people to know who their daddy is, the man that is always there for them, their best friend. So all this, you can give the best. The children are supposed to have the best of you. So when the thought of going out comes, they can get the best of advice. Since you're already thinking about going out to start, can we try this option and this possibility? I have this that I have been thinking about. Let's just see how it goes. How much will it require? And all the rest of them. But no way. The father of the prodigal son just told everything. All right. So understand these leaders create new things. Like I said, in creating new things, you discover how a company can always embrace new ideas. Discover that and always encourage those who bring new ideas as well as you encourage those who manage the system. Always appreciate them. All right. A little appreciation goes a long way to give a message. Sometimes it could be 10,000 naira addition to their salary. Sometimes it could be 20,000 naira addition to their salary. Sometimes it could be a special envelope in the front of the entire staff or in the front of the children. You are not giving the child secretly. This is not an idea of loving one child more than others or telling the children to see how this child that's nothing. No child is far much distinctive than others, na lie. One child might be so unique in one area. If you discover the other uniqueness of other children, you balance the divide. If you also, a fish cannot fly. No matter how big the shark is, it cannot fly like a tiny mosquito. So he's just at his own periphery, at his own jurisdiction. That's why he can swim, drive, and a mosquito, no matter how fast he can fly, there are things he cannot do. He cannot carry a load like a donkey. So even though a donkey is not flying, A donkey is carrying a very heavy load, and the more it walks, the more it even exerts more strength. Everybody have their own uniqueness. Bill Gates said something. He said the reason why he gives lazy people assignments to do is because they discover the easiest way to carry out a task. Bill Gates, lazy people. So a lazy man also has his own benefits around Bill Gates, because a lazy man, you might tell him, we are carrying these 10 bags upstairs, and before you know it, you say we are carrying it like this. A lazy man will tell you, man, no, let's not do this. I will construct 2 rope and a board, and then we'll put it down and we'll draw it, and I'll just push it inside. A lazy man. And Bill Gates said the reason why he appreciates giving lazy people something to do is because they devise easier ways of solving the problem. And at the end of the day, there are easier ways. The easy ways they discover will become an idea, an innovation. Today, we have camera, we have the voice microphone, we have the phone, we have the typewriter, and we have a lot of devices inside a mobile phone. Probably a lazy man must have said, why must this person be typing and shifting this thing, typing, shift, and so on? Why can't we have everything inside? So that I can lie down, I can lie on my bed and be pressing this thing and do my camera and all the rest of them. And before you know it, a lazy man decided that this thing should have everything, so that we can stay on our bed and operate phone, snap camera, call, do video calling, chats, and all. And someone said 1990 or 91, CNN correspondents used to cover programs in a helicopter where the cameraman, the helicopter pilot, and then the other man that is also regulating, supporting the cameraman, all of them are together. And today, a drone has chased out cameraman from working, has chased out the pilot, has chased out the assistant cameraman or the editor. A drone that does not need fuel or gas to power to go up. It has removed everybody from work. And so now a drone does the job of about 4 or 5 persons. So maybe a lazy man decided, why must I always be called to climb helicopter to go and do this thing? So you don't know. So saying that somebody is so distinctive is because you have not realized the other unique features of other members of the family. But as soon as you realize that pushing people can help people to stand, and giving people the ability to express themselves can also pull out the best in them to you, then you can begin to study them. As soon as you realize that, I believe you are pushing, you are doing the job. The target is to give the job, to deliver results. All right. Number 3, it says understand the process of building a dual system. Understand the process of building a dual system, a management system and leadership system. Get lots of people involved. All right. Get lots of people involved. Most people who have lots of people don't know that you can actually get them involved. Yes, you can get lots of people involved. All right. Avoid another task force. You know, these days innovation makes things easier. So if I'm innovating, I should innovate to make things easier, not making things more difficult. So if I want to produce, take for example, a computer or something, and I want a computer that will be smarter than the one that is existing. I should make it more people friendly, solving more problem, more easier to operate than what I used to have before. So I will not miss IBM when I'm operating my laptop. All right. While I'm operating my laptop, I will say, to hell with IBM. All right. So avoid another task force that will look like a challenging situation to the people. All right. Focus on hearts and mind when you are getting people involved. Avoid task force. Focus on heart and mind. Provide a structure that is more networks and startup oriented, not just project management oriented. All right. Provide a structure that is more networks and startup oriented. All right. Fueling urgency around an opportunity. Provide the ability to fuel urgency around opportunity. Make people to understand the need to focus on how to grab opportunity. So let it always be on their head that once an opportunity is seen, please let this sign of urgency be on your mind. All right. Throw out irrelevant rules. All right. Let irrelevant rules be thrown out. I see most Africans saying that we need to go back to tradition, to this and that, and I ask them, there is no country that doesn't have their original culture or tradition, but most of them have evolved. Most of them send their citizens to other countries to learn the languages of all those countries because they want to improve. They want to at least measure with those who have gone far. They are not comfortable with where they have been. They are also engaging with other world powers. So rather than telling us to go back to stone, because that's our father's culture and how they used to dress, because that's the dressing of our fathers, why not let us improve on the traditions that have become extincted? There are some parables you give today. I'll be wondering who actually approved of this parable, because in your society today is no longer working. It's no longer working. So the parable cannot stay. All right. And then simplify hierarchy. Simplify hierarchy. I talked about creating zonal, district, and regional. All right, heads. Creating. Most people take a particular office that is so that there was a time they had to move the defense headquarters to Maiduguri, not Aso Rock. Defense headquarters to Maiduguri. All right. Most people take an office that could be so thriving and dynamic and move it to a particular center, a particular location, because there's a begging need for expansion in that region, in that area. I might not be speaking in parables, but most people who operate ministry knows that their missions office might not be so relevant in certain locations, despite the fact that that is the regional head, the national or international headquarters. But the place where missions is somewhere more into, and they carry their missions headquarters to such places and such areas. So it happens in ministry. Okay, it can happen in your family as well. You can have a perfect system in your house. You can have a perfect system in your organization. All right. Okay, how to create leadership system that works. Number one, avoid formal charts and hierarchy. Traditional management isn't going to create dynamic systems. Avoid formal charts and hierarchies. Traditional management isn't going to create dynamic system. Or avoid it. Traditional management will not create dynamic system. A dynamic system must be evolving. Sometimes the names we give to certain offices is enough to be a burden to the person who is in that office and is looking for respect, because the person disrespected the office of a junior of a junior assistant pastor. He disrespected the office of a personal assistant to the senior special assistant. There is discourage such. All right, avoid such act. Work towards networks rather than formal structures. Work towards networks rather than formal structures. Let the networks be what is actually the challenge and the target. Everybody knows that there is a vision, and so we have a working network, we have a working system. Let it be so arranged and organized, not rather than formal structure. A man said if it takes 20 people to have a handshake before a decision is carried out, that means it will require 40 handshakes. So as I shake you, we are two, 40 handshakes. So why, when we can have a meeting virtually and then we can decide what happens? This particular location treats the assignment or the activity and brings report, So get clear about what a dual system look like. Actually, most people are used to facing the dual system challenge. Some people are doing the management and the leadership at the same time. Most people are used to this. They face the dual system challenge. Most people they are locked up in a situation whereby the both groups are together and they don't understand their distinctive features. Establish boundaries. Let people know where you are not going. Establish boundaries. Let people know where you are not going. Do you know most people have never communicated some level of their project to their followers, and they expect their followers to embrace the place that the company is going? You don't communicate your trips to your board of directors, your family members, the children. They don't know your itinerary. All they know is that you are dressed up, your bag, and the driver is downstairs about to take you to the airport because you are going to London. Who said? What's that? All right. If you run it like a company, you'll be able to make them understand your itinerary. Everything you do as a father, you are preparing them as a father. You are teaching them how to do it. Everything you did not do, you are teaching them how not to do it. The first assignment in animal kingdom, the king, the father or the mother animal has, is to teach the young animal how to become that species they already are. From beginning, the eagle starts training the eaglet, the baby eaglet, how to be an eagle. So everything about us is not by prayer, should be impacted to our next generation. People who are replacing us. That is the only way they can do better than us when we are no more here. That was the only way that Jeroboam did not do better than Solomon when Solomon left. So the spirit of division, he should catch it. The concept, how you handle challenges, how you apologize, how you submit, how you humble, all these are all things that should be seen, not heard by the children. Once they see these things, they know it is possible. They start apologizing from the house before they get married. They start talking low. They start moving humbly. They start dialoguing and asking questions from the house before they get out. And when they get out, it will not be a task for them to execute. All right? Let people know where you are going. Make this happen faster rather than slower. Adopt a let's try it approach. Make this faster rather than slower. Let's try it. All right? I realize one thing: brainstorming is the act whereby question is thrown among a number of persons that are seated together in order to deliberate whether they are seated or they are viewing virtually seated or directly seated. So brainstorming, so you throw questions and then everybody deliberates on it and they keep giving feedback. And I learned that as a leader, you take note of everybody's comment, no matter how stupid that person's comment might be. No matter how foolish that comment might be, take note of everybody's comments. The foolish man today might be the wisest guy tomorrow. When you appreciate their comments, you are giving them the freedom to always express themselves. And tomorrow they will never have any information that will save the company that they will not bring to you. I watched Donald Trump's Apprentice. I realized after they've given everybody each of their assignments, each of their tasks, the two teams, each of their tasks, the teams go back to brainstorm on how that project will be executed. At that point, they are brainstorming. You put your selfishness aside, you put your sentiment aside, your relationship, everything aside, and deal with the issue. Because if you lose, you are coming back to the boardroom where somebody will be fired. So it is either you deliver, and anything you know that will make your team to succeed, if you didn't tell them and your team loses, finally during the boardroom session they will finally brainstorm to know why this team lost. And probably if you now come to the boardroom and say, I thought as much, I wanted to tell them about weather forecast that it's going to be rainy, so we should make preparation for canopies during our rallies or during our promo. We should make preparation for umbrellas or raincoats and all that. I wanted to tell them, but I just saw the way they were doing. I kept it quiet. Man, you are bringing it out to the boardroom when you have already failed. That means the reason why your team failed was because of one person who had an information to give but never gave it. And as a result of that failure, that person will be fired. The team will come back and they will give them another task. They keep repeating this until one person each will be fired per task, until the last two persons standing will be given two different tasks, and then the last man that comes with result, that wins, will take over the day, the reward. You can check out Apprentice to see what I'm talking about. I know a lot of you have been watching that. I'm just trying to bring that to the attention of so many who do not know about Apprentice. All right, and I think Donald Trump, you guys should give me a special package for airing your program, on this session. All right. Yes, I appreciate that That's very well. All right, the next one is establish guiding principles. Establish guiding principles. All right, this is how to create a leadership system that works. Establish guiding principles. All right, I've seen leaders assign most people to draft out the bylaws that should guide the team or the organization, the entire network. I've seen leaders do that. I've seen organizations that have different persons who are leaders, but it doesn't show as far as the job is concerned. When they are doing the job, nobody comes to impose I'm this or I'm that. Everybody just goes straight to the job, deliver results, carry out the assignment, and that will be the beauty of everything. All right, how might leaders navigate tension between overled and overmanaged? All right, now remember we are Moneytudes series. We know that one of the attitudes, that we saw in the life of the prodigal son right now is the effect of being overled and being overmanaged. So we are going into how that effect happened, which has to do with the father of the prodigal son. So that was the beginning of why he became a prodigal son. He would not have been a prodigal son had the father not actually being an over managing person or an over leading person. So we are extracting this. Remember, in this session we looked into the life of Abraham and Lot, and we saw that as they were expanding there was crisis. We're making us to understand that over leadership definitely brings crisis, you understand, and over management actually brings chaos. You cannot manage your way out of crisis. It's not possible. As you are managing, crisis is coming. You can be sacking people, you can be downsizing, as we are in the beginning. I've been in this company the past 50 years and I have been handling this thing like this, and it's not possible. You cannot come here and change it. Forget it. You are one in a million. Every other person have left. Africa is down because most people feel that embracing people who are smarter than them could be a threat to their own popularity, to their own success, or their own existence as far as management is concerned. Whereas the greatest threat is underachievement. The greatest threat is underachievement. When people who are following you even know better than what you are manifesting. That's the greatest threat. So the earlier you begin to recognize that the right people should be brought in, the better. Recognize the right people being brought in, and then the better for you. All right? How to manage leaders? How might leaders navigate tension between overled and overmanaged? Number one, be observant. All right? Be honest and take action. Any observant doctor can dictate and point out unsightly source. It is easier to look away in leadership, but that will not help you in the long run. Be it issues with processes or generally unhappy workforce that has lost the feeling of doing purposeful, meaningful work. Get to know it, admit it, discuss it, but please address it. All right? Get to know it, admit it, discuss it, but please address it. Number two, find a balance. As much as this is easier said than done, it needs to be done. Finding a balance needs to be done. More than 100%, I believe you need opposites in a workplace in order to keep the work moving and innovating. I strongly believe that strong leadership needs management on the team. I mean, leadership takes you to the next level, while management ensures you don't turn back. When you get to the next level, you don't turn back. Lack of strong leadership amounts to slow death. So as much as strong leadership is important, strong management is also important. Because as you explode, you are supposed to also be able to stay there. And once you stay there, from there you keep exploding. And there are people who can take this action in your organization. But because you are over leading, you push them out. Or because you are over managing, you push them out. But when you bring the two together, you see the need to accommodate every one of them. All right? So we have strongly considered the place of a strong, reinforced, and high-powered laid-down structures required over every family. There's a place for strong, reinforced, and high-powered laid-down structures that is required in every family, in every organization. We've strongly seen the place for high-powered, laid-down, strong structure in your family. Is required so strongly in your family. It's not a woman's job alone. It's a symbiotic relationship. Everybody must at least come together, including the children, in order to achieve a better, purposeful family that has a culture. All right? So we are recommending that you, from research, we have seen that every family has the manpower and the capacity of both a manager and a leader. We have seen that. So even in your home, even in your churches, even in your organizations, your companies. So harnessing these potentials through commitment into certain level of administration or in motivation and inspiration will definitely drive their capacity and wake up the sleeping giant, which is that family. Will also help you, because when these people are doing well, managing a home, they manage a company, they manage a business, they know all that you have. It doesn't take time for them to also know how to increase it, instead of taking it to go and waste outside and come back and come and tell you that I'm sorry. It doesn't take time. They understand what we have as a family. They understand where we are heading to. They understand what we need. They understand our target, our mission, our vision as a family. They understand it and they know where we are heading to and they know what is needed. It does not take time for them to make it work, to increase it, improve on it, rather than taking what you have, going out to waste it and come back to tell you they are sorry. It doesn't take time. So as far as the prodigal son is concerned, he can still be a better child without going out to be a prodigal son. But now that he has become a prodigal son, we are looking at what actually must have happened. There was a case of over leadership and there was a case of over management. He will not escape the two. Either the man was full of laws and regulations, or he was full of pushing things alone and pushing things without even committing things to them, or he was full of trying to inspire them without having routine system in place on how they can manage feedback, manage them, have them to come back from time to time. A lot of things which we have been stressing. The part one of over leadership and over management, and this the part two of over leadership and over management. Today We did not talk about just the errors of the prodigal son. We talked on the effect of over leadership and over management, which is the challenge of the father of the prodigal son. All right, how this plays out in companies and organizations. Why it is a very serious challenge. The greatest challenge of 21st century corporations today. Big time, successful, purpose driven organizations, ministries is embedded in over leadership and over management. Their greatest challenge today is embedded in over leadership and over management. Either the lack of one or the lack of the other. Either dragging them to the extreme with one and not balancing it with the other. Reason, the headsmen of Lot and the headsmen of Abraham, there was strife among them because they started increasing in number. Reason number two, Moses was judging from morning till night. Morning till night. He was judging until he started managing them with all the people who have the capacity. No Israelite decamped from the camp. I'm talking to you right now. If you are a leader, you are a minister, you are a father, no Israelite decamped. I know a lot of them rebelled, but God took care of them. But they did not decamp. They were able to be managed until Moses handed them over to Joshua, and they followed. He could build that system because Jethro, his father-in-law, gave him administrative or managerial advice, and it worked for him. So I'm beckoning on you today that it's not over. The family has outgrown your expectation. You started with 2, now you are like 4 or 5, and the children are growing and they are becoming so smart and becoming uncomfortable with the way you approach them or talk to them. They are expecting that you should understand. Please don't attack them. They are only becoming very smart. Understand that there is a need for you to upgrade. Know that you are a good leader, but you might not have been a good manager. Or know that you are a good manager, you might not have been a good leader. You need a combination of both. And the only way to combine both is to make sure everybody gets involved. Everybody comes together. Have a good, clear vision. Go through all the series we've gone through in the process of this part and the previous one, so that you can understand how they can be driven. You can as well get us to consult for you. You can as well get us to trash out certain issues. There is no issue that is beyond the hand of God. We are not talking of praying now. We are talking of consulting. The case of application of common sense wisdom. There are some books that you might read that will help you to understand what they need to hear from you. There are some words that you might need that will help you to understand what they actually need to hear from you. Some of them are strange to you, but as far as God is concerned, they are not strange. God made them that way. So don't feel bad that they are not appreciating all the effort you are putting in. They don't recognize your sacrifices. They don't recognize your passion and your commitment to them to make life better. Sometimes they are not supposed to actually see you do everything. Sometimes they need to get involved. Do you know that sometimes the person that will not let go should be given the greatest task in the family? so that he will get involved. He gets his mind, his ability, and responsibility into it. Do you know sometimes you test the capacity of your children by also investing certain amount of money just to test them and see how they will pull out? You are testing them. I'm giving this money, I'm using this money for this purpose, and they want you to try to see how it's going to work. You know, most people don't understand that our kids are just a collection of so many facts, so many words. Our own word, our gene, the places they were raised, and so many other people they admire and appreciate. Some of those people you don't know them, right? The kind of places or environment they find themselves, which you don't know. So I want to encourage you today to please try your best to share these videos across to people. Let them also get to know what we are doing. Like and share, subscribe as well to our channels. We are bringing you errors that will blow your mind. Alright, we are not coming from where you already know. We are giving you errors of the prodigal son that will blow your mind. And then you see that a story that was told 2,100 years ago is so relevant to us today that a lot of us are still reliving those errors in our day-to-day life. It will not be our portion. We will exceed that, those errors. We will not fall into those traps, and will be extremely and extraordinarily successful by the special grace of God. I'll come your way next time, but till then, remain successful and work beyond your limits. God bless you.